Yeah, from the
Well,
guy.
Matthew keeps getting a beating.
Oh man. I think some people would look at this and say, why does Jesus need to rehearse? Doesn't he know exactly what to say? So then that made me wonder, okay, so you've heard the claim that the Bible is inspired by God, right? Well, I wonder if that is what is behind this. So one camp will say that basically the Holy Spirit downloads every word of the Bible word for word into the writer's head, or they write and it's not their words, it has no humanity behind it. Or being inspired by God or inspired by the Holy Spirit just means motivated. Therefore, it can contain some humanity. And when Jesus is making the sermon, he is working at it. That looks more like that motivated view instead of, oh, word for word, these are not Jesus's words, or the book of Matthew is not Matthew's words at all. It contains no humanity. Do you see the difference? So I thought it was really interesting that they took this more motivated by God view. Personally, that's more the camp I'm in when I look at what is the Bible.
I mean, it goes back to like Purdy said. Do you think he was human? Or sorry, we know he's human, but like, are you thinking he's a man and he's got normal anxieties and things like that, and he needs to rehearse this and he wants to get the message right? Or do we subscribe to the fact that God is the queen of the Borg and Jesus is one of the Borgs and he just downloads the output, right? I think we
Micromanage.
have, yeah, right. I think we have to
Micromanage.
believe.
Can he
I
be a
think we have
hybrid?
to believe that. Yes, exactly. That he's just a man who's anxious and he wants to get it right. And Matthew is very detailed and I don't know. Seems like one of the more educated. I could be wrong, but so asking him for guidance and hope. That's. I love that he's like. What's he say? He's like, I thought you wanted to spread good news. None of this sounds like very much good news or something like that. Yeah.
There's some stuff in that sermon that is harsh,
I mean, he's got a message he wants to get out, but I mean, you want to make sure that you get the message out.
I love it.
I mean, you get the general ideas, the general concept, but I mean, obviously, you're going to practice. And I think Matthew would be the guy to.
It did seem like a
He's
really
ready.
interesting point too when Jesus said it's meant to be a manifesto. That kind of took me aback. I was like, "Oh wow, okay." He's like, "I'm here to start a revolution." It's like, "Oh, all right." So he's kind of like stepping into that somewhat of that role that he's being accused of, as far as um, you know, being revolutionary and trying to completely overhaul and overthrow the current system and structure. Although it's not in the way that like the Romans or the Pharisees think.
Yeah, he says, I'm here to start a revolution, not a revolt. A revolution is still a scary word, at least nowadays. But he means a different kind of revolution, I think.
A spiritual revolution.
Like the Beatles, right?
Yes. Talking about a revolution.
I always wonder, okay, what am I supposed to get out of this sermon? Because Jesus uses some extremes. He says he's being poetic in this episode, but he says, if your right eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. But Matthew kind of brings up my question, like, well, nobody actually did that, right? So what am I supposed to take out of that sentence? There's some kind of hyperbole that he's using. Because if you just take the sermon at face value, it's pretty frightening.
Is that are those actual things that he are discussed in the Sermon on the Mount?
Yeah.
See, I thought the New Testament was a little more like, let's not eye for an eye type of thing.
Well, that's why I wonder why it's here. What is he trying to say?
Was it a man shall not look at another woman of lust, or what is it? And Matthew's like, then wouldn't there not be any men, or something like
He
that?
says, it says, if you look at a woman with lustful intent, you have
Yeah.
already committed adultery. And he goes, well, doesn't that make everyone an adulterer?
Yeah, that's right.
So I think maybe the purpose of Matthew here is he's interpreting this scene for us, because this sermon pretty much puts everybody in that camp that they've done one of these offenses. So I guess I wish we got to see the end of this sermon so we could figure out what exactly was Jesus' intent with this sermon overall.
It's to salt the earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.